us, Demecos. He's a fear coach. He works with primarily black women, and he's going to share his coaching techniques and styles with us. I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you, Jennifer.
My name is Coach Demecos, fear coach, and what I basically do is I help professionals confront the fears that's keeping them from obtaining life-changing goals.
What kind of fears do you normally see?
Oh, okay. So normally, most people have the fear of starting a business. Most people have the fear of falling in love. Those I would say were the top two fears. And it doesn't matter the race, it doesn't matter the gender, it doesn't matter the cultural background. Those are usually the most common fears I come across.
And what do you do? How does your coaching work? What's your technique?
My technique is I help them. No, my technique is that's an interesting question. I mean, I'm a very direct coach, so I'm not going to be the coach. I'm all about results. I'm a results-driven coach. You would say what my technique is. It's about literally taking the intangibles, such as a fear of starting a business, or even a fear of falling in love, and making that into a tangible, measured result. So I'm able to help you track the physical process along the way of confronting that fear. So, for example, if someone says, "Oh yeah, I always wanted to start a business," because most of my clients are black women, shout out to y'all. I always wanted to start a business, and but I'm always so afraid of achieving, blah, blah, blah. And then, so long story short, that fear of starting a business turns into a actualized fear of starting a hair product line, right? And so the whole entire goal is to get them to, again, take an intangible, such as fear of starting a business, and make it tangible, fear of starting that hair product line, all right? And then it takes I usually do about 3 sessions. And when I do my group coaching, it's usually about 4 sessions. We dive a little deeper, and it's a little bit more extended. But that's my whole process. It's all results driven. I'm not the fluff guy.
So you would talk them through, start up your LLC, and that's the kind of concrete stuff you do, or how do you confront the fear?
Right. So in dealing with clients, what's interesting is that just like in life in general, as a professional, you know this especially, achieving what you want in business, it's always 80% emotional, 20% mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
So the emotional part is all the feelings, mostly aka the unresolved trauma. That's what we're dealing with in the bulk of the sessions. At the end of the session, we then dig into specific strategies, because I have to get you out the way in order to let the premier version of yourself perform. All right? So that's where those initial 80% of that coaching, roots out of. Dealing with the emotional part, mastering your emotional self, and then so that you're able to go, when we have your objectives lined up and it's time for you to execute on those objectives, you're no longer performing how you traditionally would, when you had this fear. So you're actually able to execute on these plans without hesitation, without procrastination.
And how many, do you have a client that says, okay, first it's this phase, which is I need to get up and start and get over my initial fear to start. Then do they come back to you and say, okay, I've been in business for a year or 2 years, I'm ready to go to the next level in terms of business development, and I'm afraid of this, and then you all work through that? So it's an ongoing relationship, or are you much more, you're like, look, this was a target, we've reached this goal, and that's it? Or do you see your clients throughout the process?
Well,
or does it depend?
Well, here it is. So most adults who come to me don't outright admit they have a fear. It's just usually something that they want that they're having a problem obtaining, right? And I show them what that actual fear is behind what it is they want to obtain. So after throughout the coaching, I do kind of keep track, keep up with them. I check in with them. I may check out their social media. I kind of shadow around and just, see the process.
You're a stalker.
Well, first off, no, I'm just playing. No, the thing about it is, I don't want to get stuck I don't want to become a business coach. You know, I love the emotional aspect because I understand how important it is. And so I always keep an open door policy with past clients, so they can always come to me. So if we find out your business is to, for one client I had, is to start what she wanted to do, start a kids coaching business, you know, to help young girls, you know, better themselves. She wanted to start that business. Well, and it's a nonprofit. Well, it's my goal is to get you to that exact objectives. So it's to get you to starting that business or that nonprofit or whatever that is. And then after that, you know, you do whatever it is that you feel best. Now, I do also have references that I'll forward them to if I feel that there's a better coach or expert or someone somewhere who can get them to the next level and whatever their ultimate objective was. But I stopped. The bulk of what I care about is the emotional aspect. I want to keep that motor running in you hot, so you can accomplish anything you want. Essentially.
And they shouldn't. So we'll use me as an example.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this earlier. So my biggest fear is that I cannot be financially successful and have a good relationship simultaneously. And that's not a new fear. I've been aware of this since my 20s. So I'm an attorney by trade. This is my side hustle. And hoping to be my full-time gig.
There you go.
And but what I do normally is practice law.
Right.
I have been I've had some really good years, some nice 6-figure years, and I've had some barely 5-figure years, and I've had some really low years during the time that I've been out on my own. So I've always had I'd say 90% of my practice of my career I have been self-employed.
Right.
And I have never had, the years that I was making the least amount of money were the years where I had the most male attention. And the years when I had plenty of cash and could go places and do things, I was not dating.
Right.
And then now I'm kind of not at the top, but I'm not at the bottom, and I'm still not dating.
Okay.
But what I would like to know is,
Shout out to a roller coaster ride.
yeah, that's my life has been a roller. So what would you say to me? Because I'm aware that it is my inner fear of having the two simultaneously is blocking me. I'm aware that that's what it is because everybody else has it.
Right. So what's beautiful about that is that, you know, as unique as you feel the problem is, it's very common, right? Especially among women, especially among black professional women. You know, it's usually for them either or. And usually what takes priority precedent for them is the business side, taking care of their career. And they feel like they can get the man later. Okay. So what happens is, it's like, it all ties back to, you know, it is your belief system. It's whatever you believe something to be, okay, that's the narrative that you're running in your mind. So my job is, and since this narrative is running in your mind, it's a narrative that's not giving you the results you want, right? So my job is to re-engineer your narrative, right? And by re-engineering your narrative, I have to go to the place of where that narrative originated. So that starts by going to the most traumatic aspect of your life, relating to that narrative, right? So here's one thing I want to keep in mind with everyone. We all experience trauma. Most of us, at least weekly. Trauma is nothing but high stress. That's all it is. You know, it's different degrees of trauma, of course, but psychologically, trauma is high stress. Oh, high stress. Oh, I didn't make it to the gym 3 times this week like I was supposed to. Oh, gosh, I'm gonna be fat forever. You know. So it's finding out. Okay, she felt she couldn't date when she wasn't financially stressed. She felt that but now it's hard for her to feel that she can have money and the love that she wants. Okay, then I would ask you, the client, would be like, okay, so what is it that makes you feel that you can't have both money and love? Where's that thought process come from? And don't think too deeply.
I know exactly where it came from.
Okay.
So on more than one occasion in my 20s, someone told me I was either money hungry or I made too much money for them today.
Right. Okay. So okay, they told you those two instances, and then how did that make you feel about yourself?
Bad.
Okay, make you feel bad.
I
Okay.
felt bad about myself because of course I thought that being successful financially would make me more attractive, but it actually, with those two particular insecure men, made me feel less attractive.
Okay. All right. So here's the key thing. So again, the intangible is, you know, she believes you can't have both. But what sits behind that is that she felt bad. Right. That's another intangible. It's vague, right? And then she said, outside the bag, you said, what did you say about? You said you didn't feel attractive or
Right.
desire. Okay. So now it's just the narrative is starting to take shape, right? So it's really all about, so far, it's all about her not feeling that desirable, her not feeling that attractive. So then my next question to you would be, okay, at what point in your life stands out to you most where you felt the least desirable? What point in your life?
I mean, there are a couple of times when I felt less desirable.
The most pivotal point. And we're not even just talking.
It was way after that. It
Okay.
was so that happened when I was in my 20s.
Okay.
There was another time period that I don't want to go into that I felt very undesirable.
Okay. But even prior to your 20s, at what point in your life did you feel the least desirable?
Prior to my 20s?
And we're not even talking about just in a sexual
Oh,
way.
when I was 9 years old.
9 years old. All right. And I don't want to go too deep. You know, however deep you want to go. But at 9 years old, what was that event for you?
I was the only black child in my school in West Virginia. There might have been one other black child but I don't think so. I think I was the only one then. And I distinctly remember people making fun of my lips, which I now think are one of my best features. But at the time, I remember feeling very ugly for being black.
And then can you recall the exact moment of where someone made fun of your lips and it was just it was just a very impactful moment for you during that time period?
I can remember who said it and where I was on the playground.
Are we gonna give that person a shout out?
No, I'm not giving him a shout
We're
out.
not giving him a shout out there. But
He was 9 years old too.
Right. So I'm gonna hold it there real quick. So again, we're taking the intangibles, right? Can't have money and love. All right. This is most of us. All right. Then it went back from what the root behind that is not feeling desirable enough. Again, another intangible. All right. Well, what drives that not feeling desired enough was a traumatic moment she had at 9 years old. All right. Now we're getting more tangible. Now the focus on that camera of her, that lens of her life is getting a lot clearer. So and real quick, most adults, most of us who have fears, most of our fears are rooted in unresolved trauma, and most of those trauma occur before the age of 21. Most of them occur during our adolescence. But I really want to say between before the ages of 16 and 18. So we're talking about me as young as oldest client I've had, or one of my earliest oldest clients she was 52, and we were able to track back the unresolved trauma that happened to her at 5 years old. Right. So you'd be surprised at what you can recall, and the science behind that is because consciously you have this, again, the narrative of can't have money and love consciously, but that's the effect of your existence, not the causation. The causation is rooted in your subconscious. Now it's hard to get any typical human being to tell you exactly, to have them tell you exactly, where it comes from, because it's just hard. It's in your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind isn't a place where, everything is sectioned off in exact spots. It's, I don't want to get too sciencey, but it stores all your memories in your subconscious mind. here's the key to it. The key to it is tracing the trauma. Think of trauma like a little long line, a little long cord. And each belief and narrative that you have is especially the toxic ones, are attached to a traumatic cord. And that traumatic cord leads from that traumatic event. All right?
Oh, I just had the aha moment.
All right, see? All right, so now you make it the intangible. So now as a client, what I would do is work with you and we would do this this kind of meditative technique that I have, going back to that time period where you will re-experience that moment, that traumatic moment at 9 years old, and draw from it instead of the 9-year-old developing the perspective of, you know, that all the negative narratives that you created about yourself from that perspective from a 9-year-old, right? This is a 9-year-old generating these beliefs about the world and herself. And now we're going to take the older woman that you are now back to that time period.
I'm not that old.
No, older woman, wiser woman.
Don't say older woman.
Younger, wiser woman. How about that? There we go. See,
a grown woman either.
Grown woman.
Don't be calling me an older woman.
Grown.
That's my mama. I'm just saying.
Shout out to your mama, okay? She's a younger woman as well, all right? So, it's to take the grown woman she is now back to that time period and re-experience it, but now from the perspective of that grown woman that she's groomed into, because now she has an intelligence, now she's gained a lot more wisdom about the world, a lot more wisdom about herself, and therefore she could input more of a healthier narrative into what exactly happened that then could start to take fold and manifest into her life. So therefore, when it comes to taking action on things that would partake in how she physically shows up, instead of that negative narrative of that 9-year-old showing up, that more constructive, useful narrative of the grown woman she is now shows up. All right. Here's a few things I want to place in between them and to keep in mind as well. And when we're adolescents, we're children, right? This is before we have those big traumatic moments when we create those negative narratives. We have all had unconditional love of ourselves, right? This means when you were a child and you fell on the ground, and you fell in a puddle of mud or a lot of you spit up, you just got up and laughed. You thought it was the cutest thing in the world, right? It's like, oh gosh, it wasn't until you matured later on as an adolescent where you would experience traumatic beliefs, and what you would do is you would take your trust and unconditional love that you had of yourself and then exchange it in for conditional love of the world.
Wait a minute. That is the knowledge of good and evil.
Oh, really?
That's the eating of the apple. Like before we ate of the apple, we lived in the world completely carefree, not aware of being embarrassed.
Yep.
We took a bite of the apple and became embarrassed. So as a child, we're pre-apple, and then something happens,
Yep.
and we become aware, and now all of a sudden these things are going on, and we're like, oh, I'm embarrassed, I'm naked.
And the why of that is, again, you exchange the unconditional love you have for yourself to be accepted by the world, the conditional love of the world. So you create terms within yourself to fit the conditions of the world, and therefore you lock yourself out. And so what happens is, so as a grown woman she is today, there's still a part of her, especially in that negative narrative, that still that 9-year-old child is there. And here's the important part: that 9-year-old child doesn't trust the grown woman that she is today because they don't have a trustful relationship. That child, up until that point, had unconditional love, but from that point of 9-year-old up to today, it's not unconditional love. It's based on her love of self is based on a condition. So again, it's to rewire, re-engineer that narrative by doing that work that we just talked about, of really rebuilding that trust with yourself and redeveloping that unconditional love with yourself.
So I have a child who's 11 and a half. Y'all know I've got the little boy that I'm crazy about. What can I do as a parent to try to mitigate some of this experience for him?
That's the perfect word, actually.
Because we know it's going to happen. Like, there's only so much you can do. It's part of growing up. But what can I do as his mama to help him to remember that he is the 3-year-old that fell down in the mud and thought it was the cutest thing ever?
Right. So I'm actually glad that I don't think you really understand how beautiful that question is, because I run into clients And like I said, a majority of my clients are black women. And the thing is that a lot of them have this, their parents. And, most parents parent out of fear, right? Because you want to protect your baby from the world, from the wrong things happening to him, from him not being able to get through his own issues. That's how we're nurtured, and that's how we nurture our children. So, as a mother, you can't solve it. You can't. There's no way to prevent trauma, but mitigate you can. And here's how you do that. The key for parenting a child is to develop a trusting relationship of honest communication culture. All right, because you don't want your child, just like your marriage, your relationship. You don't want to be able. You don't want them to. You all you don't need to communicate everything. Still, you want to have that open door policy where if they need to communicate something to you, then they're welcome and free to do so. All right. Here's where a lot of parents set themselves up and they start closing that door, is they start establishing a lot of beliefs that will go against a lot of their children's experiences. So for instance, if a young girl was, let's say a young girl is talking to her mother, and they're talking about their uncle, and the mother's talking about how beautiful and great the uncle is, talking about how loving the uncle is, talking about how he's a great man, she'll always follow his lead, blah, 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 blah. And the daughter is hearing that, oh, okay. Well, when the young girl ends up getting molested by the uncle, because usually molestation is raped by a close family member, molested by the uncle, she's then afraid to go talk to mom about it because she knows how mom reveres her uncle. So therefore, it almost closes that door of having an open door communication. Now, on the flip side, if a mother was to say, yeah, I revere these people in my life, and she's saying, like, no matter who it is, baby, no matter what happens to you, you can always come to me about anything. Yeah, I'm going to tell you about people I love, tell you about people I care about. However, at the same time, you are my prized possession, and I must be understanding to you and have this open door policy. Therefore, when the little girl gets molested or so, she knows that mom will at least hear her out.
That's right. And in my case, when it's just me and John has spent a lot of time with other people.
Okay. Shout out to John. John's a loving man.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So when
he got him a safe man. He gonna always have a good job.
I know. That's right. But when I don't care who he's with,
right.
It doesn't matter who he's been with.
Yeah.
The very first thing that I say before he leaves and when he comes home is, if anything makes you uncomfortable, you can call and come get me. And did anything uncomfortable happen while you were there?
Beautiful.
And
beautiful.
And if he says, and I'll take his word for it, but I also tell him this: there is nobody on this planet I believe more than you.
Beautiful.
On any subject. He might, and I've run the risk that he could lie to me. But in any given moment, if you told me, John, and 50 people got up there, and John said I didn't do it, and 50 people said he did, I would say John didn't do it.
Yeah. I mean,
I believe him over everybody.
The thing, and here's a thing I want to throw out there too. As parents, you don't have to position yourself to develop judgment, right? You just need to have the culture of open communication, right? So however that comes out, it comes out in the wash. Still, at the end of the day, you just want to be able to be that person they can always come and rely on to relieve things, right? And even if they're relieving things to you, and those things can be bad, and you feel like they should have some type of, consequences, repercussions for it, that's fine as well. Still, you want to always keep that door open. And you're going to get on your nerves with it at times. I know when you're telling your son that, he's like, okay, mom, all right,
yes,
check, yeah, mom. That's so important. And I want to say, as parents, it is vital. There's two areas in our lives that I would say that are most important to us, that we have that we're the most irresponsible about. Is parenting and relationships. Because when it comes to becoming a lawyer, becoming a coach, when it comes to driving a car, when it comes to getting jobs, getting finance, etc., we always go to take training for it. Mm-hmm. We go get educated on it. However, when it comes to relationships, romantic relationships, and parenting, we feel that we can often operate within it as on a trial and error basis.
And let me just say this to all the black women out there, or all the parents out there that are watching. I've been in counseling or therapy off and on since I was 18 years old. I'm not gonna tell you how old that is, but it's more than 20 years. My son has been in therapy on more than one occasion, and probably will be going back again soon.
Beautiful.
If there is nothing wrong with asking for help and getting an objective third-party perspective. My son's godmother is a psychiatric nurse practitioner in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And she often coaches me in the background to say, hey, have you thought about therapy for this? Maybe you all need to go talk to somebody together, or maybe he needs to go talk to someone. More often than not, Jennifer, you need to go see somebody. But having that third party, the coach, the therapist, somebody to talk to help you, if not at an official license, to give you some sort of guidance, I think it's just so important.
I mean, it's vital. Here's my number one thumb rule when it comes to seeking out professional advice from anyone. Look at their results. What has their work produced? Not if they're a coach, especially if they're a coach, because there's a ton of coaches out here. All right, 99% of them are trash. No, it's fine. So always look at their results. Read the reviews. What are people saying about them? You know, or if they're a therapist of some sort, actually look over their surveys. You know, you want to get with someone who actually is good at what they're doing enough to help you through what you're going through. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, you don't always have yeah, therapy is great. You know, when I say therapy, it also does include coaching as well. I'm glad that coaches and therapists are starting to work together now. But books, seminars, you know, whoever the experts are in that field, you know, go learn from them on how to be a great performer in that area of your life. You know, it doesn't always have to be you have to go sit down with someone. You can, and even when you're sitting down with someone, you still can go train elsewhere in other places. You know, but it is vital for parents. It is vital for human beings to take relationship training and to take parenting training, especially.
Okay, so now we've discussed my trauma, and I just want to get back to myself because
it's all about you.
It's all about me, and I'm glad you recognize it. And everyone else needs to recognize it.
Yes.
So if now that we kind of talked about the whole notion of getting out there, and we figured out what my past trauma is, and there's way more to it than that.
Okay.
But what can I do now as a concrete first step towards finding to have a relationship? Because I've been trying for 2 or 3, 4 years now to get out there, and I've been unsuccessful.
Right. So I'm not the relationship coach. Now, I have my advices and suggestions and everything. When it comes to my whole thing is, it's about really just finding, you have to find out what is the why behind you not taking action. And when you find out, when finding out the why, you need to get beyond the biggest obstacle that prevents you from finding out the why when you're not sitting with a professional, which is your ego, right? So whenever you're finding out and digging through your whys, and you start to see that your whys are telling you, oh, it's because he didn't have his stuff together. Oh, well, you know, a lot of black men are unemployed. Oh, you know, it's because, you know, I lived in a remote area of town. While that, a portion of that is true, a portion of that is your reality, your experience, that's not going to help you get beyond those initial fears of not feeling like you can have both, because it all lies within yourself. You got to get beyond your ego. It's all about accountability, of being able to start digging through to get rid of the clutter of beliefs that aren't working for you, and to start adopt beliefs that are working for you.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. We've had a great show here today. It's been very interesting. I'm going to end on that note because really and truly, that's where we need to start. That's where we need to start our next conversation. I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking it through with Jennifer. We want to give shout outs. Look at up here on the board. We're going to give shout outs to all the people that have been helping me with my hair, with everything else that we've been doing. We want to invite people to sponsor the show. So if there's someone who would like to have their name listed, please please give us a shout out. Let us know if you'd like to sponsor the show, and we will include that on our shows from now on. And I just want to thank you very much for joining us to Talking It Through with Jennifer.
Oh, and one more thing. I want to encourage black men to follow me, because a lot of my work is also starting to lead to helping black men, coaching black men to the premier version of themselves. And right now I have a 4-life wheel that is similar to what we talked about here today, that literally breaks down exactly what areas of your life need the fixing and how to create immediate results in those fixing, specifically for black men, all right? It's a necessity. Black women need therapy more often. Black men need therapy immediately.
So where are you located?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Coach Demecos. Just search Coach Demecos, Demecos, and you can find me on Instagram as well, Fear Coach. If you type Fear Coach in Instagram or Facebook, my name is gonna pop up. You're gonna see this big black face. All right.
All right. Thank you very much.